We're into September here in Norfolk, but that's not to say we don't get a last few beautifully warm, sunny summer days like the one we're having here today. But it won't be long now before this garden starts retreating into its winter clothing and dropping some of this leaf. This magnolia is starting to form some of its flowering buds for next spring. You can see on these spurs, these are where she's going to flower next year. Grown away quite nicely this. It did get eaten by deer earlier in the season. Thought at one stage we might lose it. But despite the winds we've been having here, looking nice and healthy towards the autumn time. All these leaves are going to drop over the next 8 weeks. But it's forming a nice young healthy growth tree. It's the same with this young quince tree which we planted about 4 years ago in this position. Growing very nice and healthily. Good stocky tree with plenty of leaf up the top. I feel it's a little inadequate in terms of its fruiting volume after visiting those fantastic trees down at Oxborough Hall last week. But I think I've just got to give this a little longer, be a little patient. She flowered beautifully this year but didn't set too much fruit. Maybe next year's going to be better. We're starting to get some fantastic hips. This one's particularly good this year. Going to leave those, not deadhead, and probably enjoy these with the latter flower crop still in the green, but they should come to this beautiful orange over the next couple of weeks. As one thing finishes, another starts to do its thing, and we're just starting to get the pink flush of the first colour coming on. This lovely row of autumn joy sedum that sits in front of the iris bed that we showed you earlier in the year. I'm very pleased with the way these are filled in. They grow just to a nice height in front of the iris to allow enough sunlight to hit the rhizomes and mature up the rhizomes nicely, but then to give some balls of structure in front of those uprights of the iris in early summer, and then to reward you with this beautiful pink flush. And we get the long view down this border from the house, which is absolutely breathtaking, and it will come on further. Bees are already starting to enjoy this, and there'll be plenty of nectar for them throughout September on this run of sedum. Very nice planting. Would recommend. That's Autumn Joy. So getting some really good second flushes on these roses now in September. This one's come out over the last week. Big, beautiful, double, old-fashioned rose this. Lovely creamy yellow. And we promised you the old favourite and highly recommended Graeme Thomas. Always reliably gives us a good second flush of flower. And here it is doing just that in September. Plenty of good bud formation on it. This should flower if we deadhead it regularly, right the way to the first frosts and a little beyond. These blooms are blushing beautifully now. Look at the pink outer petals on this. It's quite charming the way this ages from a pure yellow bud to a pure yellow young flower, and then as it ages and drops, the pink comes through on the outer aspects. Absolutely beautiful. Dappled sunlight coming through the trees down here in the dell, just highlighting these superb rowan berries. We did a video on this earlier in the season. They ripened so early, and we spotted a whole clump of rowan trees that were just on fire with volume of berries in Blickling, but by the time we went back to film them, the whole lot had gone, disappeared. but we still got them here. Birds haven't found them yet. Such an abundance of fruit. So we're hopefully going to enjoy those into first part of the winter at least. Growing out of one of our back hedges is this little wild gage, green gage. They go slightly yellow when they fully ripen. These have just got a little bit of softness in it. This is going to fruit quite nicely. We don't tend to bother with these, they're a little on the small side, but as they sweeten up, they are edible. We've got Jacob sheep grazing this paddock at the moment. Just a small flock of last year's ewes that are being grown on before they enter the main flock on the paddocks on the opposite side of the lane. We've done very well in this field over the last 6 to 9 months they've been here. Grazing got a little on the short side, helped by the hares and rabbits, but with the rain we've had now, hoping to get a good flush of growth for them in September. We should see them on this grazing right the way through to next January.